Football Feast.
Shall we begin?
I gotta turn this down, Bob. He's got big balls.
Hashtag Faith Radio.
Let's go. Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
PA and Charch.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
Roughing the passer.
Thanks for listening to KFAN.
Hey, have a seat for a second.
Hold on to your butts.
Oh, good.
Second and 9 for the Jags from their own 48. 1:55 to go in the first half. Pistol formation. Jones facing a blitz by Cashman. And he's sacked! Back at the 37-yard line. Blake Cashman, with his second sack this season, playing in his 50th game, backs up the Jaguars 8 yards. Mac Jones, 8 of 11, 73 yards. A rushing touchdown. Goes back to pass on first down. He's sacked! Mac Jones. They sack Mac back by the 20. Ivan Pace Jr., the one to get him. Loss of 8, third sack this season for Ivan Pace Jr. The Vikings have sacked Mac Jones 2 times, and he goes out of the shotgun first and 10 from his own 30. Tank Bigsby by his side. Here's Van Ginkel. Down goes Mac Jones. Andrew Van Ginkel with his 6th sack this season. Second and 13. Oh, it's a botched snap. It's a botched snap. Vikings ball. Come on. The Minnesota Vikings have recovered it at the 25. Exchange between Jones and Mitch Morse, and Harrison Phillips comes out of the pile with the ball. And the Vikings have turned over the Jags with Minnesota leading 9-7. Second and 8. Jones, straight drop, back to pass, throws, intercepted! Intercepted at the 48-yard line. And it is picked off by Byron Murphy Jr. Byron Murphy Jr. with interceptions in 3 consecutive games. He now has 4 on the season. There are no flags on the field, and the Jaguars have found a way to implode. Mac Jones goes out of the shotgun. Travis Etienne to his left. The Vikings blitz. Mac on a very deep drop. He's going to throw it right. Nobody's there, with the exception of a Minnesota Viking who picked him off. Interception. And the Minnesota Vikings are going to improve to 7-2. Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal. Good morning. Producer Eric Nordquist, good morning when you take us out of audition. This is the Friday football. It's the feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal. Your Minnesota Vikings are 7-2. Can I get a witness, ladies and gentlemen? And some raucous noise from this Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal crowd. We welcome you to the Friday Football Feast on KFAN. The master mixer, engineering the sound. J-Dub, ladies and gentlemen, Jared Wells. Nick Madden and the street team are over there to service your every need. Round of applause. He's Paul Charchian, and I'm Paul Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great defensive players in the history of Minnesota Vikings football, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. He is Chad Greenway. 5-2 radio is in the air. Nordo Matt produces at the 651 Carpets Plus Studios, and welcome. Down memory lane we go to begin festivities. Chad played the Tennessee Titans 3 times. The record Chad Greenway's Vikings had against the Titans, 2-1. In 2008, you lost 30-17. You beat the Titans in in 2012, and you beat the Titans in 2016. 2008. Any vivid memories from the game at Nissan Stadium? And good morning.
And good morning, man. It's good to be on the early segment today. Just fired up. The crowd's fired up. 7-2. Let's go.
3 in a row for Romo. 3 in a row for Romo. 3 in a row for Romo. That's our kicker, by the way, if you didn't watch that or listen last week.
Yeah, I don't remember anything specific about that game.
All right.
Oh, wait, long time ago.
I do.
You didn't, but you looked it up.
So E.J. Henderson, there was some type of discipline or penalty E.J. Henderson was facing. He either sat out the full first quarter or he sat out a series or two. Feels like late to meeting terrorism. And one of the first 3 plays he came in, he messed up his toe. And then he was lost for either the season or a patch of games after that. Remember that?
Yeah, came back for a patch of I don't think he missed the whole season, but came back for a while.
Yeah.
Quarterback, Gus Farrat.
Yes.
Wow, nice.
Gus Farrat.
This was part of the stretch we got rolling. We won about 9 in a row, I think, with Gus that year.
Yeah.
Got to the playoffs.
And Gus did a good job as quarterback in the playoffs against the No, that's right. It was Tavares Jackson.
Yep.
Right.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul, indeed. Also, you remember cornerback Cortland Finnegan?
Yes.
Okay. There once was a corner named Finnegan, and receivers would beat him again and again.
Furman guy?
Maybe. Cortland Finnegan screamed some of the most vile trash talk at the Viking sideline at Dr. David Olson. Dr. David Olson, Broadway Clinic. Yeah, he's just screaming. I got it on my binocular, screaming at Dr. David Olson on the sideline. Because he was a trash talker.
Yeah.
Once was a trash talker.
Who goes after the team doctor?
But the best part about Olson was he got that personality, a little sense of humor. Just kind of cut him deep.
Right. In that game, 2008, Vikings granted lost. Chad Greenway, 11 tackles and a diving pass breakup. Can I get a witness?
There we go.
Sprawling.
Just another Sunday,
Just diving through the air with the greatest of ease. In 2012, you guys crushed Tennessee 30-7. Chad Greenway, 10 tackles and a tackle for loss. Now, Tennessee's only touchdown in that game came by way of tight end Jared Cook, which means there's a chance Chad Greenway was on the coverage. Hey, can I get a witness?
That's not the case. That's not the case.
The only touchdown in the game was the tight end. You covered tight end.
I'm going to need to see some video evidence of that.
Fair. 2016, Vikings beat Tennessee at Tennessee, 25-16. What happened here? 2016, Chad's final year. He only played 29 plays and had 0 tackles. What are we doing out of this?
That's what I signed up for. What are you talking about?
Well,
33 years old.
Yeah.
I did 25 snaps. I can give you 25 snaps.
Right.
You know, at 41, I could give you maybe 1 or 2.
Right. Especially in this game, because it was noteworthy. It was the first game of the season in 2016. It also was the great Derrick Henry's debut.
Oh, yeah. I remember
it was
that.
his very first game out of Alabama.
The creature.
5 carries, 3 yards, 2 receptions, 41 yards. And thank heavens for Chad Greenway's defense in that game. Eric Kendricks, 77-yard pick 6.
Yes.
Daniil Hunter, fumble recovery touchdown.
Yeah, a couple defensive scores. I mean, you go on the road, you get a couple defensive scores. Maybe you get a return for a touchdown. That is going to give you a really good chance to win. I can remember Daniil and Eric's, both those plays, just young guys that were going to start coming into their own. So exciting for those guys. And as a veteran, 11-year guy, when you see Derrick Henry turn that corner, you're like, this league's changing, boys.
Right.
Yeah, we got
to run into him.
I've never seen a running back that looked like that before. Wow. It was like the first time I saw Cam Newton. I'm like, well, that's different. I've never seen a human like that in South Dakota before. And Derrick Henry, he put his foot in the ground, came back against our defense, and I was the backside guy, and he put his foot in the ground and came downhill on me. I'm like, I don't know. I made a business decision real quick.
Right.
And you notice I ended the game with 0 tackles. So, yeah.
Go ahead now.
So I might have missed that one. Just go ahead and get a couple more yards. You're fine.
All right. It was this Sean Hill game, right? It was Sean
Hill. We were waiting for Bradford.
Yeah, waiting for Bradford.
Yep.
And so he was like just the carry. We just wanted to get through this game, beat a bad Tennessee team.
Old Hank Hill, man. All that guy did was win, Sean Hill. He was amazing.
So Derrick Henry, still playing today.
Yeah.
And not only that, he leads the NFL in
Creature.
rushing yards, is on pace for roughly 2,000
Well,
yards.
let's be honest. He goes to that offense with all those weapons, and all of a sudden you have to deal with him as well.
Yeah.
Like, good luck with that one. But the guy's a creature. Like I say about Adrian, like you can talk about Adrian's work ethic all day long. The guy came out. He came out, you're like, well, that's an NFL running back for you. I mean, he was just genetically modified human being that came out. It's like, well, that's the closest thing we've ever seen to a robot.
Yeah.
Right.
And here he is. So, like, don't tell me about your work ethic or how hard this was or that was.
Yeah.
You just showed up.
It's amazing on a weekly basis, like when watching back some Vikings games to get ready for the next game, or like getting ready for the Vikings and Jags. All right, we talked last week about your guy Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. All right, so I wasn't as prepared for the conversation this time last week as I was over the weekend. But you watch Etienne and his porous pass blocking, likewise for Tank Bigsby. Okay, so that really starts to play into why they cut reps. You know, it's who paid more attention during the course of the week to the playbook, and you're going to play more. It really minimizes and diminishes the true athletic ability when it comes to the scholarly approach or lack thereof taken by some in the game. But you'll also watch running backs like that. You'll see the hole, and they won't take the right hole, and they'll try to manipulate something to their will, what they thought was good. Well, Adrian, so they'll come out of the game. So ETN, I saw it 3 times up to the Vikings game. There's the hole. My man misses it. He comes out. In comes Tank. Okay, well, Adrian did that no fewer than 100 times. But the thing is, Adrian would jump cut the wrong hole, make a new hole, and just cut loose for like 30.
The physical ability overcame the mental mistake. And did you start either of those two running backs? Because you were pretty high on Bigsby and ETN last week, talking about cocky.
Not coming into the game because the Vikings' run defense was getting Cashman back and they were splitting time. But I still love Tank Bigsby. If Tank Bigsby were here right now at Buffalo Wild Wings, we would gently spoon.
I wonder if I could tackle him right now.
Let's begin there.
I don't think you could.
Let's begin with what you said. Cashman came back.
Yes.
I mean, Cashman comes back. Blake Cashman. Can I get a witness for Blake
Let's
Cashman?
go. Eden Prairie Eagle.
Ladies and gentlemen.
He's like one of those gravity blankets, those heavy blankets. It just keeps you nice and comfy. You just say, Blake's back. We're fine.
Right.
He's become that quickly in this defense.
And as the game continued, like the longer the race, the better he got.
Yeah.
It's like he had more pop later in the game than he did earlier.
Well, you miss a couple games. It does take you a little bit to get back. Just the speed of the game, the eyes, everything, seeing your reads, being kind of just confident and play to play in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then also, like, he's also fresh. Like, when you go week after week after week and you start to pile on, by the time you get to week 16, 17, like, you don't have the pop in the fourth quarter, third quarter, especially when you go against a running team and you're going to have to be physical the whole game. He just kept getting better because he got the speed of the game back. He's more fresh now than these other guys.
All right, well, the Vikings defense, when it goes full strength, now all of a sudden for the first time in a month, here comes Van Ginkel untouched. Had a chance to just smash Mac Jones, but he tried for the forced fumble, punching it out, and he couldn't get there. But it's amazing. One guy returns, the attention shifts by offenses to a lot of different places. We hadn't seen that in about a month. And now all of a sudden we're getting guys untouched off the edge, and good morning.
Yeah, good morning and good afternoon if you're going to get hit in the back with Van Ginkel.
Good night.
What I would say is this team defensively, for us to make a hard push towards the back end of this season into the playoffs, we have to get hot on the turnovers. So defenses get hot, they get takeaway crazy.
Yeah.
They're running the ball, they're flying the ball, they're punching the ball out. I love to see that he tries to go for that.
Right.
And I think what you do is you get a defense that just starts to flourish around that. And that's obviously, you have an offensive game like we had last week, you're going to have to go make some plays and score on the defensive end. We just talked about going to Tennessee, getting 2 takeaways and scoring. That's how you go win on the road, especially when offensively you aren't clicking. But having said that, offensively, we have the dudes. Let's go figure this thing out this weekend against a really, really good defense.
So last week the Vikings played a quarterback in Mac Jones who has it in him to give the game away.
Yeah.
And he did.
Oh, yeah.
This week, same thing. Will Levis. Do you prep any differently for mistake-prone quarterbacks than you do some precision quarterback who's simply not going to be turning the ball over and not putting the ball at risk? Is there any preparation difference that goes
I think what you want to do is obviously what we're good at, which is show him something that he thinks he sees, that he's seen on film, and then do something different. I think when you have so many looks and so many weapons that are versatile, we've talked about this defense since day one this offseason, the versatility of the players we have, and you can put them and plug and play them all over this field. Now you think you see something, all of a sudden you're confused, you take that half a beat longer, and all of a sudden you get smacked in the side of the head. Smack in the ribs. Well, I'm not sure wherever you can hit the quarterbacks, but you hit them and you set them down gently for a sack. But we need to give him something that he sees or has seen before, and then hit him with something else to get him thinking. And that half a beat difference is the difference in making a play or not. And so you do prepare in a sense of like we can show him things and be more creative, because if you're going to play a guy who's seen a lot, who's played against Flores a lot, he's going to know that there's a lot of window dressing, and he's going to take the simple pass. He's going to take the simple action, going to take the thing he can guarantee and get the ball out of his hand quickly, because he knows taking a 6, 8, 10-yard loss is going to kill the down or kill the drive. So Will Levis has a lot of game breaker in him.
He does.
And if we go make some plays, it could be really fun for the defense.
When you talk about the quick passes, and we've seen since the Rams game, teams are now doing this to Minnesota, getting rid of the ball quickly. Nobody's sitting in the pocket for too long, mostly. And it has been effective. I'm not positive how do you take that away from an offense?
Well, you talk about, okay, if you're going to, I have to react to now the changes that I'm seeing. So now are you going to go be more press on the outside, take away those quick hitters, take away that 5-yard cushion,
get those cornerbacks closer,
knowing they can't run a 15-yard route. Now all of a sudden you're going to talk to your linebackers about go get to your man coverage quicker on the running back, because he's going to swing it out to the backfield quick because he knows something's coming. So go marry up with him quicker. Go get on him quicker. You may see more of our linebackers, if they have a tight end or a safety, have a tight end, get up on the line of scrimmage and get hands-on to disrupt the route.
Right.
So it's route disruption. It's getting hands-on guys in the first 5 yards. All of a sudden, Levis think he has something. All of a sudden, we're tighter. It's not there. Tip balls, interceptions, and touchdowns. The thing that worries me the most going on the road, coming off an offensive game like we just had, is playing a defense with a bunch of creatures. Like this defense is playing really, really well.
It is.
And we have to be really smart about how we play and how you go down there. Again, go make plays to help your offense take the pressure off of them.
Tennessee, number 1 in passing yards allowed, number 1 in yards allowed in the league. I mean,
they're stingy.
But 29th in points allowed. I mean, the defense is an anomaly. Jeffrey Simmons up front, I mean, he's still wrecking games for a profit on a play-by-play basis. In the Chargers game, it was kind of a bump and grind game. Tennessee actually had a chance to win that game, kind of messed it up late, and also had a defensive touchdown nullified right in front of halftime. They got a corner named Roger McCreary who scooped it up, went into the end zone on a Jeffrey Simmons strip sack, but they ruled that Levis was throwing the ball was kind of dicey. But there was this play. It just shows you how important Jeffrey Simmons, 98, defensive tackle for the Titans, is one of the best in the game.
Creature.
There weren't many times in the game they triple teamed him, but they triple teamed him on a Herbert touchdown pass to Quentin Johnston.
Wow.
And the play, you'll appreciate this, it was slow developing to get Johnston, the receiver, on Kenneth Murray Jr., the linebacker. And when they had to wait, but the only way to do it was to triple Simmons, and they just knocked him on the ground. It was a beautiful play.
Yeah.
But it just really, really personifies the impact of Jeffrey Simmons and how the Titans can be so stingy giving up yardage. They're like top 3 NFL also with third down conversions on defense. But they're giving up almost 27 points a game, man.
Question on that, Charchie. Does the pick 6 that Will Levis threw like 100 pick 6s against the Bears first game, does that go against the defense's point total, right? I think they own that. I don't think they break off like offensive scores.
You can, you can harvest that data,
right.
but that's typically in
I know there's been at least a couple that have gone back against the Titans offense that has gone to the defense because, obviously turnovers play a game. All of a sudden you get the ball up on the 30-yard line because there's a pick, and now they get a field goal out of that drive when you gave up 6 yards defensively.
Right.
And you just see this over and over where you get a short field, and then the defense is trying to bend but not break. Maybe they give up a touchdown. You give up, 14, 17 points in a game, but you only gave up 200 yards.
Right.
It plays into maybe how bad the offense is.
Funny how the defense guy wants to make sure that they get credit for all of that.
Yeah.
Totally.
That always drove us crazy because everybody's paying attention how many points you're giving up.
Right.
Right? Because that's how you win football games. Yeah. Like, but wait a second.
Yeah, but you know what? But you know what? Okay, we can look at those pick 6s, the defensive touchdowns and everything that were permitted by the Titans offense. and that might take a 26-7 to a 25-9. So, I mean, it's still going to be all the fewest yards, and third down conversion's really good, and defense has some ballyhooed stats, but they're still bottom echelon for points per game.
Yeah, I have to look at it. That's interesting to see why that would play in. It has to be short fields.
Yeah.
So special teams giving up yardage, whatever. It's from somewhere.
Yeah.
Big plays over the top, but still you give up yards then. So that doesn't make sense.
This Chad Greenway, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Grey Duck Spirits. Vikings and Titans this Sunday at noon. KFAN for the boom. 10 o'clock for the pregame. So I walk in and Chad's sitting here, and before we say hi or anything, he just looks at me and goes, Darnold, though. I'm like, why you got to start Friday like that? Why can't it be Cashman, though?
Well, because the reason I say that is because is a
Darnold,
guy I continue to love Sam Darnold. I do, and I he's one of those guys. I'm obviously a homer. There's nowhere to go, guys. There's nowhere to go. Where are you going to go? And you can't. JJ's not coming back. There's no magic pill. It's going to make him right.
Yeah, we're ride or die with Sam.
Yeah, you have to be, and I think that's the mentality as a fan base you take and say, you know what, we got to figure it out with the guy we have at the helm right now, and this team has to figure it out because the drives happen. We get down to the spot where we got to go make some money, and we turn the ball over way too many times. One wasn't an interception. We saw that went through the guy's legs. I'm not sure how we keep getting the L's with the referees, but that's like 8 games in a row where you look at these reviews. Like the Timberwolves, we don't win a dang review in this city ever. Can we get a review that goes our way?
Okay. How did the Timberwolves catch a stray out of a Sam Darnold conversation?
They didn't catch a stray.
What do you mean?
The refs are catching a stray because of all the reviews. Who did we just play? 6 reviews. We lost all of them.
Portland?
No, it was the game before then. We lost at the last second. Bad
Miami?
Miami game. 5 reviews, we lost all of them. Every time I was, of course, going for the Wolves. This is obviously going to go our direction.
Right.
Can you do 5 reviews if you lose them?
I don't know.
I don't think you can.
It seemed like 5.
Right.
Well, they reviewed. We lost. We reviewed.
Lost. There you go.
Yeah,
all right.
Math is hard.
We'll call it 5.
I have some Cashman-related data that Charch will appreciate because it involves percentages, and Chad will appreciate because it involves the Minnesota Vikings linebacker. When Blake Cashman plays, when he's in the game, all right, this one, the first one's astounding to me, is when Cashman is not playing, the interception percentage, the percentage of interceptions the Vikings get per passes thrown. Without Cashman, 1.9%. Okay, they intercept 1.9% of passes thrown. Without him. With Cashman, 5.7.
Wow.
How about that?
What?
It jumped up to 5.7. Cashman.
1 out of 20.
That's impressive.
1 out of 19 every time.
Vikings
I
defense,
love that kind of data.
Vikings defense on third down, when Blake Cashman is not playing, 37.5%, which is still top 10 in the NFL.
Solid.
When he does play, 31.5%. They give up first downs on third downs. Cashing.
The Eagle effect.
I know you love him even though he plays defense.
Well, yeah, and because he's one of the 10 best Eden Prairie Eagle athletes of all time.
Yeah, behind you, obviously. You're in the behind 10.
Todd Downing, Ryan Iverson, Antoine Winfield Jr., Carter Coughlin. Who else?
You're rolling right now.
Right here.
Well, now I'm putting you. I was putting you ninth. I was making you ninth.
Got you. All right, thank you.
Yeah,
Olympian Ben Hughesby.
And Willie Mobley.
You just wonder with Cashman, the stability with what he presents and what he can do.
Derek Allen.
A lot of times you look at a guy who's impacting games in that way, and you say, well, it's because he's out there making these flashy plays, splash plays, making the guy making the interceptions, but he's just, his presence allows other guys to play more natural positions and do it well. And I think that's what you're seeing. He just stabilizes the defense. And also an indictment in a lot of ways on who's replacing him.
Yeah.
And maybe the chances they're taking, the plays they're missing. Maybe it's mental, maybe it's physical, but there's at this point in the season you have enough data to know it matters. 9 games in.
And it's funny, we knew he was
all the Middlestat brothers though.
Yeah.
We knew he was playing well.
KC though.
What we didn't know until he's gone. Until he was gone, I don't think we understood the impact. Right?
Casey Middlestat on the Prairie Eagles hockey team.
Good poll. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Lee Smith felt the same thing too.
Lee Smith, the old pitcher, the old Cardinals pitcher.
No, he's hockey coaching immortality. I mean, he's not there anymore. I think he lives in Utah. But anyway, 3-2.
I don't mind that. We didn't know how important Blake Cashman was to the full function of this defense until he was gone. And sometimes that's the case where it's
a
hard
metaphor
to know.
for life.
Yeah, well, there is some truth
You
to
don't
that.
know how important they are until they're gone.
Yep.
It's a country song.
That is a country song. Waiting to
Several of
happen.
them.
It's also
Yeah,
a
and if
bank
they don't
account
come back,
breaker.
it was never meant to be. Yeah, that's absolutely true. What's your Chad? Based on what you've seen from Sam Darnold these past few games, through the first month of the season, he was legitimately in the very early MVP conversation.
Yeah,
he looked tremendous. Since that first 4 games, he's thrown more picks than touchdowns. He's been banged up a lot. He's played through
I don't like your negativity.
knees, ribs. Now he's got a hand.
Stop that.
What's your just general level of concern right now for where Sam Darnold is and level of play that just isn't quite as sharp as it was at the start of the year?
Well, I think a couple things. You playing quarterback in the NFL is hard.
Yes.
And he's played a lot of football now. He's getting a lot of a scope of different teams. I think what I like is the mistakes you make when you're trying to make a play. And when you're trying to make a play, you make the right read, you make the right throw, and sometimes these dudes are good and make a play. That happens. So there's been several mistakes that he's made that have been that. And you always live with those because you need a guy who's going to go make a play, trust his athletes to go make plays. That's what you're going to ask him to do. Because when you go against number 1 pass defense this weekend, you can't just hand the ball off every time and pray it's going to go away. You have to go to trust your receivers. So you can't let the mistakes, the turnovers that he's had now paralyze him this weekend and not go make those throws.
Right.
Jared Goff just threw 5 picks. Playing quarterback in the NFL is hard.
It is.
Jared Goff is a top 3 MVP guy right now.
Right.
So you're going to have those games. You're going to have a couple games in a row. You have to trust the process. What I would just say is this. Moving forward this weekend, don't stop being aggressive. Keep allowing you guys to go make plays. Keep make the reads and make the throws. It's the ones that are just the head scratchers to me that worries me the most. Because there's a better read, there's a better opportunity, there's a chance to throw the ball away. There's so many things that you go through as a quarterback. Again, not acting like I know because it's the hardest position to play in sports, but those decisions have to be better. And I think that's the part that, of course, worries me and worries our whole fan base. But go make a mistake 100% full speed, trying to make a play to go win. I think everybody in the fan base can live with that.
The turnovers last week, all 3 run passes to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I approve.
Yeah. I mean,
all right. I mean, look, if you're going to go down, that's kind of how I want to go down.
And giving him a chance to go make a play.
Yeah.
And I think, the one thing you look at, though, by percentage, and I don't have the numbers, you may, but the reality is are we now looking because we're forcing the ball too much to JJ? And by the way, we have other weapons that you need to utilize and actually start to game plan that way. It's not like you're telling KOC anything new. He knows if he's getting this much attention, let's go win with these other guys who we know can win and not have to force it to our guy until we force the hand. All of a sudden, if we're spreading the ball all across the field and now they got to pull the double off of JJ because they can't stop anybody else, then you can go back and attack with him. And I just think that's the approach it has to be. We have guys that can win in this league, one-on-one, in man on third down. You have your tight end back.
Yeah.
You got to trust those guys.
I have not broken down the all-22 from last week's game. I'm not going to. But people that I follow on Twitter who did said that Sam was pretty laser-focused on Justin, and there were several instances of really open players that probably should have, and especially Addison, that probably should have been his reads.
And I think what you look to, and maybe this is a historical Sam Darnold take, but has that always become his issue when he struggles is just getting laser focused and not going through his reads. And that's just because he's sped up, right? He's trying to go to option 1 when he should be going through option 1, 2, 3, boom, ball's out.
Right.
And I think that's the part where, as a fan, you worry about the end of this season and how it can shape up with what we have with the schedule coming down the pipeline after this weekend.
Right.
It's gauntlet, and you're going to need to be playing your best football. So I like this game of a game we can go win on the road where against a really good defense that we need to go get his confidence back. And again, don't pull the reins. Like, let him go.
Yeah.
Because you have to, if we're going to win the Super Bowl this year, we have to allow him to make those plays.
Yeah, agreed. If you're going to corral your quarterback,
you're losing.
You're just I don't know how you get to the playoffs and then go win 3 playoff games.
Yeah, I mean we know what's in front of us, right? It's a 1-year contract for him. 1-year contract for him. He's got to go earn it in these next 7, 8, 9 weeks.
You're listening to the Friday Football at Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal. Thank you, TimberTech. Thank you, TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes the fantasy football feast about 30 minutes from now after the second of 2 Chad Greenway segments. Alec Lewis from The Athletic will be here at 11 o'clock, and that's Ballyhooed. For Paul Charchian, I'm Paul Allen. Welcome to Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal for the Friday football feast. Here comes Norda with some money.
The Fan, along with 2 men in a junk truck, want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword check. You might win $1,000 with the keyword check at KFAN.com.
Wow, wasn't that fun?
Football Feast. Football.
Doink.
9 to noon.
Time for 2 more.
Hey, Buffalo Wild Wings. Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal. Welcome back. Happy birthday, Josh Melton. Josh Melton, happy birthday. A round of applause. He's over there celebrating his birthday at the Friday football feast. Happy birthday, my man. Welcome back, Paul Allen, Paul Charchian, and Chad Greenway. This is around the National Football League. It's rubber meets the road starting now into the second half of the season. Like the Cincinnati Bengals have 6 losses. They're at the LA Chargers. If they lose that game, even with Joey Burrow and Jamar Chase going for 264 and 3 in a game they lose, well, Cincinnati, think about that. Burrow and Chase, and Higgins eventually when he comes back, done. I mean, like they're not going to go to the playoffs. And you know this, man, like when players are interviewed after games or during the course of the week, and without mentioning somebody's name, they mention an individual spot in the game, a particular spot. And it involved Chase. They got a running back named Chase Brown, and they're in Ravens territory. I think they're up 7 or 10. And this is a division collision where the Bengals need to win, and Baltimore might go to the Super Bowl. They're really good. And Chase Brown fumbled. Yeah. Okay, inside the 30. And Burrow after the game when he was like, you didn't say the guy's name, but he's like, well. Really it comes down to this. When you play these guys, they're all going to be tightly contested. Turnovers are everything against the Ravens. And when you have a chance to go up 2 scores or multiple scores and you drop the ball, that's going to be really tough to overcome. So he kind of called out a teammate, which, you know how that can go. It can go the wrong way when you're losing. So Cincinnati, that's a big one for Cincinnati. But like Baltimore and Pittsburgh, Philadelphia and Washington last night.
And then we got what I think is the best extra divisional rivalry in football.
Hey.
We've got Buffalo and Kansas City.
Right. That's going to be good.
That is an epic rivalry. The kind that you only get when you're knocking each other out of playoff games.
Yes.
Right?
Niners, Cowboys back in the 90s.
Yeah, right. Niners, in the old days, Niners, Cowboys. To get those rivalries that aren't in your division.
Right.
It means something's got to be at stake. It's got to hurt. The losses have to hurt.
And Buffalo has gotten quite adept at beating Kansas City in the regular season, though.
Right.
Not in the postseason.
Do we go Saints-Vikings on this one, too, rivalry? I mean, you talk about
a little bit.
We think so.
Yeah.
We think so.
Despise them.
Nationally, they don't know.
But I don't have the Chiefs' schedule in front of me, but this is the best team they have left. And it's a road game.
Yep.
I mean, if Buffalo doesn't beat Kansas City, undefeated terrorism starts to become a high probability, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's something that I just wish upon the Chiefs is, win this game, because then you're going to drop one later because they're not going undefeated. Let's call it right now. I'm just going to go on a limb and just say that. But, these games, when you get to this point of the season, you start to deal with injuries. You start to deal with guys getting beat up. Who can step up, and where's the depth show?
Rob, they've lost Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, the running back. They've lost them for like the season. Now they lose their kicker, Harrison Butker.
Yeah, but
for like a month. Right?
You have a quarterback, but you have Andy Reid, who's one of the best coaches ever at winning football games, and obviously with Mahomes, he makes a lot of things right. So I think what you see though is you see stable offensive line play, really good defense, the creature in the middle of that defense. Jones, unbelievable human being.
Yeah.
And I think what you just see stability there. I think one of the things this time of year is get Cashman back. You get healthy, you get right, keep him healthy. Keeping guys healthy, keeping guys in the field, keeping your offensive line together just is so important moving forward the rest of the season.
See, Charch would probably know more about this than me, so it's either runs or touches, but Isaiah Pacheco, 7th rounder Rutgers, fits what they do perfectly. Then they use the former LSU highly drafted running back, Hilaire Davis, or Hilaire Edwards. Yeah. Or they use a hodgepodge of backs, but Pacheco was the bit. So he gets hurt and he goes down. So they bring in former Chief Kareem Hunt, who, by the way, leads the NFL in touches through
per game.
Touches per game. So it's
22.
like off the street, in the mix, lead the NFL 22 touches a game. Just plug and play terrorism.
Yeah, I think it's play calling, right? It's system guys that they know can run the system, know the system, and they also know what they do well. I think that's what's so important about coaches, even at this level, is understanding what your team does really well. You might be a high school coach and you only have 2 dudes. We're going to build around those 2 dudes. Well, in the league, it's no different. Like, what can these guys do really, really well? Let's put them in that situation as often as possible and have them make plays.
The thing that nobody talks about with Kansas City, they are heading towards a historic run defense year.
Oh, really?
They are sitting right now, they're giving up 52 rushing yards per game. It's nuts.
The Vikes are at like 70 and low change, third, and I thought that was a nice number.
And it is a nice number. Vikings have been very good. I'm talking like historic pace stuff here.
Our best year with the Williams Wall was maybe 58.
Probably.
I think was the 58 in that game.
And during that era, they had a run where in the Metrodome, it was like lights out for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, the better part of 2 seasons.
Yeah, they didn't give up a 100-yard rusher for like 2.5 seasons, something like that.
That sounds about right. It's the Kansas City defense. We're always like Mahomes. Yep. It's their defense is a bigger part of why this team is whatever they are now, 10-0.
A big statement.
Than Patrick Mahomes.
Might be one of the best ever.
And maybe I'm putting myself in the PST. Patrick Mahomes is like 16th in yards. He's like 20th in touchdowns. The productivity for him hasn't been there. He's still obviously incredibly special, but it's the defense. All these close games are made possible by defense. So
where Mahomes gets you is the situational plays, right? Where it's a third and got to have it. He figures out a way to scramble out and make a play. He makes winning plays, and that's why stats don't tell the stories, because wins is all that matters. And, he finds a way to do that at the highest level we've seen in a long, long time. But the defense, the interior of that defensive line is impossibly good.
Yeah.
And, that goes to show you why when we had the Williams Wall, we were so good. Your interior, too, if you get those guys playing, staying healthy, knowing what the system is, you get the guys behind them to play well, make tackles, you're going to have a really good chance.
What the Chiefs have that I wish the Vikings had.
Patrick Mahomes.
That, too.
Okay.
They've got a shutdown corner.
Yeah.
They've got a guy. Trent McDuffie.
Yep.
And they can put McDuffie on the opposing best receiver for much of the game, 2/3 of the game, and know that guy's pretty much taken care of one-on-one. And that's a luxury this team has not had in a long time.
You want to talk about the most BA guy is the guy you can say, you know what? We have a guy who can shut anybody down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your guy on the outside, he's just going to sit out there and whoever comes.
Yep.
I'm that dude.
Yeah.
Here we go. That's kind of that's why corners are so cocky.
Yeah, no kidding. You have to be.
In closing, what's going on with Grey Duck Vodka, Grey Duck Spirits, and don't forget about the bourbon.
Got the bourbon. Made a little trip down to Highway 52 down to Rochester yesterday. Stopped in a couple locations. Opened a new store down there. And got to sign a bunch of bottles, meet a bunch of fans, which was super cool.
Nice.
And the bourbon was flying off the shelves.
All right.
Which was cool. Charchy.
Yep.
Love that.
Love it.
Yeah, man, it's been a good week.
Appreciate you. We'll see you next week in Lakeville if you have time, all right?
As always, I'll be there.
Chad Greenway. Chad Greenway, ladies and gentlemen, in the Friday Football Feast. All right, fantasy football freakazoids here at Buffalo Wild Wings Crystal, or listening on the vast and ever-expanding 9 to noon KFAN Minnesota Vikings radio network. It's post time for the fantasy football feast, and let's begin here. The Chicago Bears off this toxic week they've had. Toxic week they've had, beginning with their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, not even finishing his first year. He was fired. And their offense and their fantasy wherewithal moving forward, because you got some fantasy worthy names on that offense. They're at home playing Green Bay. Sometimes Green Bay can be stingy on defense. Sometimes Green Bay can give up big chunks of yards and touchdowns.
Yep.
So how does this toxic week impact the Bears and fantasy football?
Well, let's back up about 9 months, Paul. It's February. You're the Bears, and you've just hired your offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and you need some people under him.
Yeah.
And you've spent, it's last February, you had spent the prior entire season cackling with joy over the Carolina Panthers foibles that have led Chicago to get the number 1 pick in the draft because Carolina is so bad.
Right.
And because Bryce Young is so bad. Who do they hire as their passing game coordinator?
Tell us, Birchie.
The offensive coordinator from the Panthers.
Come on.
Who led Bryce Young to all of the problems he had in the first year.
Yeah.
And you're the Bears. You got to know better.
Did they hire him or elevate him? Was he on the staff?
Well, he was on the staff. He was their passing game coordinator.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay, we can pick any passing game coordinator from the league. Yeah. I want the guy that ruined Bryce Young and had the worst passing attack in the NFL last year. He should be our passing game coordinator.
Right.
That's Thomas Brown.
Yeah.
So now we come back to this week. They fire Shane Waldron, and they're looking around going, all right, we need somebody to be our new interim offensive coordinator. We've got arguably the worst passing offense in the league in Chicago. We have the least accurate passing attack in Chicago. I know. Let's elevate our passing game coordinator to offensive coordinator.
Charchi. So that means DeAndre Swift, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, super special Cole Kmet, Roshan Johnson, beloved Caleb. They're all dead. You ain't using any of them, right?
No part of this passing game, Paul. At least
for a game until you can see something.
They've lost the benefit of the doubt with Caleb Williams and all the play. Think about we spent all offseason, Paul, saying, and it felt right at the time, turned out to be a terrible take.
On what?
Caleb Williams, like, historically, has a quarterback ever been dropped into a more favorable position than Caleb Williams? We were talking about that all summer.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, he's got Keenan Allen. He's got the 8th highest paid wide receiver, DJ Moore.
Yeah.
They put the 9th overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, something
and
like
Rome
that.
Odunze on that team around him. Offensive line had gotten better. We're saying to ourselves, this is like, it's such a perfect opportunity for Caleb Williams to be great.
Yeah.
Paul, it's not, and Caleb Williams has been bad, but also schematically, totally broken offense. There was a big play going around Chicago social media this past week where Caleb Williams took on a passing play out of shotgun. It's a sprint left.
Yeah.
And so he gets the ball. He immediately goes left. There's only one player going left with him.
Wow.
There's 3 receivers on the wrong side of the field.
Well, that's deceptive.
And it might, and also gives your quarterback nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So it has all completely devolved for Chicago. Offensive line injuries is part of the story, but they just went belly up against a Patriots team that has 6 linemen on injured reserve.
Oh, wow.
So I don't think that's even a fair comparison to make. Drake May was the better quarterback on the field.
Yeah, especially running.
Game. Yep.
How about this with the Bears? Their coach, Matt Eberflus. Now, this one's at home. It's at Soldier Field against the Green and Gold.
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus, since he became head coach of the Chicago Bears, they're 3-18 in road games. 3-18 in road. I mean, that is so absurdly bad. Okay, fantasy football feast. How deep do you go with Chargers picking on Cincinnati? So you got Cincinnati at home this week, and it's Cincinnati. I mean, they might throw the ball 85% of the time. They might throw the ball 85% of the time in this game. A, off that Chase Brown fumble. B, because that's what they're good at doing, and it's kind of a bleep it. Let's just whip this thing out and try to get ourselves on a massive winning streak to have a chip chair and a chance. So I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. How deep do you go with Chargers against your Bengals?
Well, on the Chargers side of it, they are still a run-heavy team, right? Jim Harbaugh, that's who he is. It's baked into his DNA. But J.K. Dobbins, who started the season on fire, has really slowed down. The running game hasn't been as good, and they've asked Justin Herbert to throw more often. Yeah. And they've got these young receivers that are starting to make some steps forward. Lad McConkey.
Yeah, McConkey, he's getting targeted quite a bit.
He is. The targets are going up. He's a slippery guy who gets separation, he gets open. But we're not seeing tons of productivity there, but it's heading the right direction. Cincinnati's defense had been terrible in almost all phases. It's all gotten better, and their secondary's gotten a lot better. So I don't know that there's going to be fireworks here in this game. I think the big storyline out of that game, Paul, Chargers defense was awful for 2 years leading up to this season. Yeah. Harbaugh gets there on a lot of the same personnel. Yeah. It is now turned into a top 5 overall defense. Wow. Good against the pass, good against the run. Yeah. A few points allowed. Okay. It has gotten to be legitimately good.
So you don't think Joey Burrow with Jamar Chase going to get up and down the field?
I think it's going to be. More of a standard run-of-the-mill game for them, which is still, they're still great.
Low 20s, like 23, 20, something like that. Yep. Okay. Now I know the answer to this question, but I just want to hear your brilliant fantasy mind talk it out. Justin Jefferson, a must-start in Geese, despite the triple and quadruple coverage that everybody knows is coming.
Yeah, and KOC keeps going to him. Sam Darnold keeps going to him. He's too important to this offense, and the wherewithal of KOC to find ways to get him the ball is just so high.
Or Justin has to understand, hey, we're going to have 28 targets here, okay, and you're going to get 17% of them. Until this stops. So Jordan's going to get X amount. TJ might get X amount. Josh Oliver all of a sudden is a relevant fantasy thing. And Aaron Jones too. And Justin, you just have to understand that you're taking this personifies taking one for the team.
It is. And if that's what Justin does, if he's going to tie up 3 defenders, that's a win. You are creating opportunities for everybody else. It is like catching an 8-yard pass if you're tying up 3 defenders and giving your other players an opportunity to be great. So, still, never bench Justin Jefferson.
Right. Yeah, you can't. Because, if you do, and say it's a 5-48-0. Yeah. But then all of a sudden, things loosen because it can be an 8-194-3 any game against anybody.
Look what he did against Sauce Gardner, Paul, and DJ Reed. Yeah, KOC did not stop going to them. In fact, they went at them and they used Justin.
Yeah, put a lot of fouls on Reed and Sauce.
They did. Which, by the way, there was some blueprint making there by Kevin O'Connell. Mm-hmm. What teams have done to Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed since then? Really, same thing. Okay, they're going at them, being physical, and making those players have to go make tackles and go be physical. Yeah, they don't like it.
Okay, so now guillotine time of the year, where you got heads are rolling metaphorically and proverbially every single week. Yeah. So you want to stay alive, and you got Jefferson, you're going to use him. But of the ancillary pieces, Addison, Hawkinson, Jones, even Oliver, which guys are usable? Absolutely usable in what is a desperate situation trying to avoid being chopped.
TJ Hawkinson basically back to full usage. All it took was 2 games. Yep. And running routes on 71% of the Vikings pass plays. Damn. He's earned a 30% target rate. It's we're back with Hawkinson this quickly. Yep. And the Titans defense very, very good, and on paper they look like a dominating tight end defense, but the 2 tight ends they faced that were of Hawkinson's caliber. Yeah. Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid.
Oh, give it to me.
Yeah. They put up 52 yards, and they shared a touchdown between them. Those are good games, and I think Hawkinson's sitting in a good game here.
That's it?
Well, Titans, they look like a top 3 tight end defense. So they did not put up gigantic games. They put up good games, and I think Hawkinson is sitting on an effective 50, 60-yard game.
Lastly, before Vizzle Bizzle, this one is fascinating to me. And not as fascinating as what I now have learned about Titans kicker Nick Folk that I previously didn't learn, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. Might share it later. This game fascinates me. It's Cleveland at New Orleans. Okay, Cleveland at New Orleans. Yeah. I mean, collective yawn, right? Unless you recognize it's Browns quarterback Jameis Winston back in New Orleans playing against the Saints. A team without Marshawn Lattimore, and the Browns are off a bye. So they've had plenty of time to put these concoctions together with Chick Nub and the play action. But Jameis back at New Orleans. That's pretty cool.
I love this matchup, and it's tons of fun, Paul. Jameis Winston is just... How do you not root for him? I love the way he plays. I love the way he talks. The guy he's so easy to root for. And what's more fun? Fantasy football is supposed to be fun. Here's Jameis Winston, who can be the highest scoring quarterback in almost any week in a revenge game, back to New Orleans, missing Marshawn Lattimore. I'm starting him in a couple of leagues. I just think it's a ton of fun, and I want to be part of the Jameis Winston experience. Yeah. And I'm glad you're excited about it, because I am as well. And Browns have got this budding star receiver, Cedric Tillman. Ooh. And he is a big-bodied physical receiver. Marshawn Lattimore would have been perfect against him, but he's not going to be there, and I think he's sitting on a big game, too.
That's Paul Charchi, and I'm Paul Allen. Hour 1 is done. Into Hour 2. Vikes Bites, Nordo on lead vocals. When we return to FM 100.3 KFAN, your Friday football feast.